Thanks for joining Rakeem and I on the Talented 10th podcast. Today we're going to talk about righteous consistency. Rakeem, you had a sports question.
Yep, I did. It's pretty much it's the NFL head coaches rushing rookie quarterbacks to play too soon as their job is on the line as they're getting fired quicker than normal.
Okay, and then there's a whole host of current events we can get into, from the debate to ceasefires, Hezbollah, the turn on immigration as Harris is closing the gap, at least in a snap poll this week, closing the gap on immigration. She's not near the preferred candidate on it, but I mean the gap's closed since the debate and since the Ohio Haitian debacle. It's closed by 5 or 6 points, so we can touch on that too. But you want to get us started with the bottle of today?
Yep. So had to, of course, get the bottle that was gifted to me from B, of course, for my birthday. Just had a birthday, and B got me this bottle called Barrel Emitter, which just shows a bourbon whiskey finish in pear, brandy, and rum, and it's also in a cask strength, so it's all in a cask barrel. So really excited for this, actually, just because it got the pear and the rum with it. So appreciate it. Appreciate the birthday gift. Excited. Let's get it rolling.
Yeah, I haven't had it. It was suggested to me.
That's what I was wondering where it came from, like if you had it or somebody suggested. But I'm all for it, and I do appreciate it.
It's my dad. It's interesting. My dad just texted me about just a random question of, have you ever delved into the life of Jean Michael Basquiat? As I have a Basquiat book here. I was like, I'll talk about it after we're done recording.
Oh, that's nice.
Is it nice? Let me give it.
It took me back to the beach, which is very interesting. Like a bourbon with a beach feel to it, which is probably that rum and pear. Not bad at all. I like that.
I do too. That's nice and smooth. Happy. Yeah. Well, I've told you happy birthday, but from me and all the listeners, however many of you there is. Although I do see the amount of listens on Apple Podcasts is going up. So thank you for that. But from me and all of listeners, happy belated birthday.
Appreciate that.
This has been so fun for us to be able to do this season. We're not quite at the halfway point, but we are a third of the way through. Yep. And so righteous consistency is the chapter and character this week. And so we can jump into that before we get into the sports and the current events. You had a question, right, for me?
Yeah, I did. So you got consistency, but then you got righteous consistency.
Right.
Which some people may not know the difference, or what is the difference to you.
Yeah.
When it comes to that.
So it was, as a quick refresher, initially I've had 6 character traits for many, many, many years. That began this 12 part, and it was understanding, appreciation, self-identity, consistency, trust, and loyalty. When it expanded out to 12, I felt the need to be more specific about a righteous consistency, because there's a lot of people who are consistently reinforcing bad habits, or they're consistent in very in behaviors that aren't necessarily a value add to their life or moving them in a direction that they want to be. Like, just because you're being consistent doesn't mean you're being productive, doesn't mean you're moving forward, doesn't mean you're getting closer to the things that you want. And so righteous consistency from a self-habit perspective is around, don't just be consistent in the right things, and break consistency where it's not right for you. So if you are consistently doing something you know you shouldn't be doing, that's not righteous, and that's not something you should continue. So I think it was important to put righteous consistency in front of it, because consistency for the sake of consistency isn't necessarily a good thing.
Correct. True.
And then I'm anxious to get your thoughts on it. But to finish that off, like last week last chapter we talked about self-reliance, and there was a quote around that's really famous. Consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds and little statesmen and divines. And in other words, a foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds and little statesmen and divines. And so righteous consistency versus foolish consistency is really what was the juxtaposition that led me to name it righteous consistency. And in that quote, he's really saying, like, if you thought one thing when you were 16 and your position was based on the information you had and what was going on at the time, don't stick with it just because that's what you said before. If you learn new things or if the world changes, then you should be willing to change with that and not just be foolishly consistent because you are afraid to look like you changed your mind.
Correct.
So that's the basis of righteous consistency for me.
Which makes sense, because I mean, you could be taught something that was a bad habit, but to you didn't know better, but you can learn eventually down the line that was actually wrong, but you've been doing it for so long to where you can flip it to do it right and get the consistency there. Even though it's still a consistency, you got the right part of it instead of actually, let me just do the foolish stuff and just keep doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, anybody, you women, men, dating or whatever, you doing foolish consistency. You keep dating that same bad person, and you done it again and again and again, and then you wondering, wow, why is me or whatever. Mm-hmm. You're doing a foolish consistency. You consistent, but you're doing a foolish one. And then when you finally change your pattern or change your viewpoint on it or something, now you may be in a form of doing something different along the lines of righteousness, which is just an example. You got many other stuff.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. I mean, it can happen in relationships. It could happen, particularly, it could happen in your job. Like I've talked about it before, not in my previous role, but the role previous to that. Like I was able to kind of effectively do my job, and not just do it, but do it fairly at a high level, in a short amount of time, of a small part of my week. And so just because you're in a cadence and you're in your weeks are consistent and what you got to do is consistent, and you feel like you're in a mastery perspective, like I had to step back and be like, okay, well, where do you want to be? It's cool that things are consistent and becoming easier for you and where you're at, but where do you want to be? And are you gonna fall into a certain level of complacency because you're enjoying how easy something that didn't used to be easy has become? And so again, with righteous consistency, I had to ask, what am I looking for consistency in? I'm looking for consistency in constantly growing and getting closer to the places that I want to be, more than I'm trying to get consistent in what I'm doing today so that my life is easier today. I want a particular life at a particular point in the future, and I don't want to be older and doing all these things. I want to be able to grind now, whether that's deprioritizing things that others prioritize, or being focused and looking ahead at what my trajectory is today, and is it smart to flatten that a little bit for for other things. It's just, what do I want? What are the habits that I need to be able to reach it? How do I get consistency in it? And how do I bring with it a mindset that the things that I'm working on in almost a righteous way is actually furthering the things that I've told myself that I really want.
No, I like that. And that's what I was going to ask with that, since you brought it into work, is when you looking into a leader or even being a leader, are you looking for that righteous consistency within a leader too? Or even when you're trying to lead? I
am. I certainly try to model it. I think I talked about when we were talking about appreciation, and I was letting the viewers and listeners know, like, I had started a new role and I'm building a team. And the key word that I've been saying in interviews, and ultimately what I want to embody, at least for this next fiscal year, is composure. But that's kind of the end goal, or that's the mentality. But the only way to actually establish that and be confident and be composed and be able to respond to things as they come up, whether they're predictable or not, is to be able to have a standard. And the only way to establish that standard is to be consistent. And the only way for people to buy in to the hard work that it takes to be consistent is if you can frame it in a righteous cause. Yep. Whether that be for a customer, whether that be for your team, whether that be for your importance to the company, whether that be for how you can position yourself in your own career, even if you're not moved by that, even if you're not thinking about that customer in South Arkansas who benefits from low prices, or even if you're not thinking about we are in a part of a company that is consistently growing and all that, even if you are looking at it from a selfish perspective, and I don't mean that in a judgmental way, but just as what does it mean to you? You can still bring a mentality, a commitment to consistency that establishes standards that advances you towards the things that you want for your family based on how you show up each day. So we can all be moved by different things. Yep. But for me, I think I have to demonstrate consistency, demonstrate what I want to see as a composed team, and then tie all of those habits that we're developing back to whatever righteous cause that gets you up in the morning, whether that be a customer, your team, your company, or your family, or yourself. Then be able to tie it back to that so that you're coming into it with a commitment. Yeah. And you're finding your place in it versus being dictated to you. Yeah.
I like that. Nah, it's like you said too, it's like building that team, but leading with it. They see that their leader or their boss, however you want to put it, is setting a standard behind righteous consistency along with the other standards you're putting, and make them want to go do it more. That's how you get a team that, one, love being around you, but also leading and setting a standard for the next people that come, for the ones that's already been there versus the newer ones that come join the team, and then they just start rolling and running smooth like clockwork. Mm-hmm. And that's the beauty. I mean, once you get that and you see how people are, because that's the beauty of interviews. Anybody can interview somebody and give you the generic answers, but actually understanding somebody and their righteous values or whatever values they have as a person, that's what you determine benefits your team the best. Mm-hmm. And able to see it and be like, yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we can go give star format interviews all day. We can go get a star format person who'll do an interview all day. But it's more in it than just that you can see in it, especially when you know what you're trying to build or lead as and what you're doing as and trying to be righteous consistency. Then you're going to like, I know what I'm looking for in somebody that a star format can't give you or whatever the case may be.
One point on team, and then I want to ask you, how do you think this applies in a relationship or a friendship? But Also, like, you can't be afraid to lead by example when it comes to righteous consistency, and you can't be afraid to help people get to a better place and how they actually establish those things. One of the hallmarks, whether that be a teacher, a coach, or a supervisor, those that have been the best for me have been the ones that push me to be more consistent. They see things in me in certain moments, and they help me get to a place where those aren't seen in special moments. They're seen in every moment, every one of them. All of your best qualities, bring them to bear as often as possible and as consistent as possible. And that's how standards or expectations are set, and they can eventually precede you.
Yes.
That's the best thing that you can have, is when people know if you're involved, there's a certain level that's going to be demanded.
Yep.
But you have to show that in yourself first. Otherwise, it looks like you're holding people to a higher standard than you hold yourself. And that's what I enjoy most about what I'm doing right now, is I work with someone who has a high standard. She holds herself to it, and she holds others to it. And if you want to be held even higher than the standard she's holding you to, she'll elevate her expectations. I like that.
Yeah.
An example of that this week is, like, I ask for a deadline. I just want that pressure. I want the motivation. It could be a fake one.
Yeah.
I could know I'm asking you for it.
Yeah.
I could know there's flexibility in it, but I just want to be driven to something.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, but how does that apply to relationships and friendships to you? Because you're one of the most consistent people that I know.
Man.
And you won't stretch yourself thin if you can't provide the standard that you are that you hold for yourself. Like, that's what I had to learn, and I learned a little bit from you, was around, like, how to prioritize certain things so that you're not missing the mark because you're stretched too thin.
Yeah. And that's the thing, man, is the key is prioritizing, and especially with consistency when it comes to friendships, comes to relationships, is you can consistently do and be for others, and it's easy, consistently check in, consistently give. But you can't consistently do it for a million people. You prioritize the ones that matter to you, whatever it's family, what if it's a wife, a husband, children, your best friends, and understand. And the key of it is they're understanding you and what you can do as well. So for me, with the friendship and relationships, is basically how I look at it for the most part is like, okay, one, each phase in life, each part of life, there's a phase, so I may be in a phase right now where I'm consistently more involved in doing for the young children, for my kids.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's a phase where my kids ain't gonna be young no more, and they gonna want to do their own thing. And so from there, it shifts to something else.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Or even before that. But even when there's in the phase of like, you consistently, like, say, for instance, my priorities may be children first now, you still don't forget your other priorities of what that you had before or that you may have after. So in prioritizing your friendships and those relationships that you have with your wife and your spouse, to get that simple, let's take a pause. Let's get somebody to watch your children, whatever. Let's get a date night in. Let's get some conversation in. Mm-hmm. Let's get some talking in. You know what I'm saying? I can't come physically see somebody or see you on a regular, But it ain't hard for me to like, man, let me see what you up to. How your week been? What's going on? Let's talk about a little sports or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
That ain't just more so high end level conversation, but just more so surface level. Like, you see that game last night? You see what I'm saying? Or the drop pass, or they shouldn't even call it a freaking touchdown for that play, like we just talked about. You know what I'm saying? Just it's those things.
Shout out to the U, by the way.
You know what I'm saying? But it's those things, and it's just the consistency of doing it. It ain't no, I gotta. No, it's just consistently. How my brother doing?
Right.
How my wife doing? You know what I'm saying? Consistency. If you want the spice in your relationship, whatever, be consistent. You want to be consistent. Don't sit down and then you don't sit down for 2 years, and especially when they had that in their thought process of like, I kind of like that. Can you keep doing it? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the consistency of it, the righteous part. But it can be bad consistency. There's been phases where people go through bad, like you said, foolish consistency where you around people that's having you do stuff you might not want to do. Having you going to go, you know what I'm saying? And that's the thing, it's like the phase we in or the age we in is like doing the righteous consistency of the things you want to do. Not everybody think I need to be over here doing this.
Yeah, the flavor of the month.
Yeah, no, like that ain't my flavor. And I think the best thing how I became consistent I am is I do my things and my people know that I do it. It ain't that like I'm selfish or anything. It's just more so like I'm gonna do my things for my people or with my people. I really don't care about the more other people who I don't fool with. I don't care what they think or if I need to be around them or not be around them because I'm enjoying the ones I am around.
Yeah.
Trying to build with the ones I am around.
Yeah.
So, and that's just how I look at it. It's like phases and just being you and just doing what you can. You know what I'm saying? Check in on your people. You know what I'm saying? The ones that check in on you, check back in on them. Check on them to see.
Yeah. And, to button it up, I think I look at it, I don't know. I think habits are so important. And I think oftentimes, we've been saying foolish consistency, righteous consistency, but I think put more simply, like there's a difference between things you should want to be consistent in and habits.
Yeah.
Like you may have habits that are unconscious. They may have been like you don't even realize they are a habit.
Yeah.
They're so ingrained. And I think, this will sound robotic when I say it, and it's not like this formal, so to speak, but you kind of got to audit your habits.
Yes.
Why am I doing this?
Yes.
Why am I eating this? Why am I ordering DoorDash when I enjoy to cook?
Yeah.
How to cook?
Yeah.
Why am I like anything? Just audit yourself. Have some of that awareness, and I think that makes establishing righteous consistency in the things you need to easier because you cleaned up your habits and have made room for more. You can't layer good habits on top of bad habits. You have to get the bad habits out of there first before any of the good habits you're trying to establish will ever take.
Yes.
And so again, that's kind of where the term righteous consistency comes from, because a lot of people just have bad habits and they just think they're insurmountable. That's just how it is.
Or they can't be told that they do have bad habits and they don't see that they actually think they got bad habits. In reality, you have bad habits. And what if you're 20, 30, 40, 50, there's bad habits. And it's more so goes to, can you listen if somebody told you had bad habits? Or can you see it yourself if you try to tell yourself you got bad habits?
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't.
Yeah, they don't leave room to be checked.
No. And that's the thing that goes underrated within itself. You can check me all day and I'm gonna tell you thank you. I can check you and you'll say thank you. We can debate and get our views, but then we can say thank you. But if it's somebody else or some other people, I mean, don't get me wrong, some people can be checked, but like I go try to check somebody else, they may not talk to me again.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true.
They didn't like it, but it's coming. You know what I'm saying? And so that's underrated that it ain't spoken enough. But it's just the simple things that it's just like listen sometimes, or even like you said, do a deep clean of yourself. Like, do I need to do this, or should I be doing this, or do I want to prioritize something else that's got a better benefit or a deeper meaning?
Mm-hmm.
Do the people, if I'm trying to go be seen here, one, do those people care for me? You know, or they just want to be around my company? Cool. Or do I want to go spend that time, that meaningful time, with the ones I know truly enjoy, and I truly enjoy being around them, and we actually doing the things we enjoy. What if it's shooting a little pool, sipping a little bourbon, chatting a little bit, watching a little football, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's the phase that some people still transition in or transition out of, whatever. Then it's just go to cleaning it up, your habits, and doing the things that you truly inside of you, which is what was the self-identity you truly feel. It's like, okay, this is actually who I am.
Yep.
This is my actual identity. Now this is my righteous consistency, because I do have my identity, which beautiful order of your chapters that you got. As we get through all the way to the end, people are going to be able to go through it and like, dang, it's a whole story that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's one thing I want to cover off on, and then I'll talk about kind of the next 4 or phase and why they're there and why they're sandwiched in between 2 of the original 6. But I haven't been as consistent going to mass and to church as I should or need to be, and my dad had reached out, and he always reminds us, don't forget your spiritual life. And the older I get, the less I want to hear that, but that doesn't change the fact that I need to hear it.
Right.
Because as we had a discussion, I was like, I feel closer in my faith, and more of my faith is more personal and deep now than it has ever been. And it's odd that has happened even as I've been in mass less. And so we had a conversation about it. And as it always happens as a believer, the next mass was right on time. And
it always is.
It always is, right? Just
always
hit the nail on the head, right? And it was the gospel was around when Jesus healed the mute and deaf man, and the homily or the sermon or whatever, again, right on time. Have heard this story for years, but had delivered a perspective that I didn't necessarily have. And it was around the fact that we as Christians have to constantly, if we are called to, continue to bring people back to him, to Jesus. And that's what my dad was doing.
Yeah.
But in that story, what stuck out to me in the homily was around the fact that I never thought about the man was deaf and mute. He had not heard Jesus. He couldn't even speak to his family that brought him to Jesus because he was mute. That sometimes the blessings come from those who believe and are willing, even when you don't know him, even when you're not following him like you should.
Or don't
it's
see
the
him.
family who did not worry about the fact that the mute and the deaf man hadn't heard Jesus and didn't request to go see Jesus. They brought him, and he was healed. And so in the midst of talking about being consistent in attending church, that lesson came through that next Sunday. And so righteous consistency also applies in your spiritual life. And that doesn't
100%.
necessarily mean like I still don't know that I believe you have to be in the church house every Sunday to be committed to Christ. But the consistency when righteous, when you're not going in there just out of habit and you walking out, there are going to be days where you're not focused. There are things that are happening in life where you may walk out and you're like, man, I don't even know what the lesson was today. I wasn't even soaking it in. That's going to happen. But the reason why I'm bringing this up in the form of righteous consistency is merely consistently going to church or merely going every Sunday and you're not retaining or applying what you're hearing. What you might as well have been at home.
Yeah, what are you doing? You're not taking the lesson.
But if you're going with at least a righteous intention,
Yep.
That's
why
you'll have moments like I had that really resonate, and so that I did want to share that with the group because as we get older and priorities change, like we still need to remain consistent and righteously so, particularly in our spiritual life and in our relationship with God.
Yeah, the spiritual life that brings you back. Even you go through a phase where you fade from the church, whether it's going through college or whatever the case may be. But what if it's a consistency that our parents gave us or grandparents that gave us, the blueprint of being in the church and getting deeper in your faith. And that's the beauty of it because, I'm at church every Sunday now, and you can tell I done got into it more where you message like, how's the word today? Or what was the word? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And it's just me telling you what I took from it. Mm-hmm. And then, but the beauty of it too is me and Chelsea will go and we'll talk about it and the views that we may see it, and then how we may relate it to life, and just living through it is the best.
And how do you teach it to the kids as well in their own way?
In their own way, and having them present, but also understanding why they present. Thinking, oh, we just going to go play. No, we going to church to learn a little something. Now they do teach lessons to the kids, but they also do let them play. But it's making them at a lower level understanding. Yeah. Oh God, Mm-hmm. And that's the thing is Tate. He had school. It was something that they had. It was a spirit night. And spirit night was like at Cece's Pizza or something where they raised for the fundraiser, but the kids get to go to whatever. And Tate told his teacher, he's like, Miss Lopez, he said, I can't go to spirit night. We got church tonight, but you can come with me if you like, so we can learn about God together. And so she told me, and I'm laughing like, I was like, we had church. I said church actually tomorrow, but the fact that he knows. And then I'm trying to invite his teacher to come.
He's the sweetest.
You know what I'm saying? Gosh. And so it's just those simple things that you instill. So for instance, when Tate or Elliot or whoever get older and they go through a phase where they're going through college and young adult life or whatever, they may venture from it, but they still got that instilled of the righteous part of it, to where simply it's like your dad messages you and just tell you, like, what he told you guys to understand, like, go get back in there, and then boom, you get a message and like, holy crap.
Yep.
The beauty of it. You know what I'm saying? And
it's wild.
Exactly.
It's wild.
And
it's right. It's how it should be. Like, I don't know.
It's beautiful to see. And that's the thing. Like, hey, I haven't seen him personally, but I mean, I don't believe him or know what he's doing. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely. And I will say, like, that's what the beauty of going through confirmation is as a Catholic. And I know it's not just Catholics, but, a lot of those sacraments that tie you into the church are done for you as a kid. When you're baptized as an infant, it's not your choice. When you're first communion, it's not necessarily your choice. Confirmation is designed to be that first. You're not really an adult, but in the eyes of the church, okay, This is the moment in which you're in charge of your choices, not your parents anymore.
Yeah.
Are you committed?
Yes.
And so, kind of the final discussion within the homily pointed to that of like we are always bringing people to Him, and you've done that through the sacrament of baptism, through the sacrament of communion, and ushered people towards confirmation. But that was their choice, and so it's why I take being a godparent so seriously. It's why, like, all of those things, because it is our charge not to beat you over the head with scriptures necessarily, but demonstrate those habits, though, that point of view, that mentality of the new covenant and the New Testament, and what Jesus preached, and demonstrate it in our everyday life, and do it in a righteously consistent way.
Yeah.
So those are the 4 chapters: understanding and altruism 1, appreciation 2, self-reliance and self-identity 3, and righteous consistency 4. The next 4 are sandwiched in between. The next 4 are really driven around the development of kind of what I call those more they're characteristics that are more driven by that mid part of your life where, like, you're an adult now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, understanding and altruism, appreciation, self-reliance and self-identity, and righteous consistency are foundational, in my opinion. These next 4 are like really what I believe you have to do to set yourself up to even have an opportunity to be great. Are you competitive? Do you hang your hat on a particular mentality? That's 1. Do you show discernment? Are you proportional in how you deal with yourself, with others, with life itself? Are you introspective? Do you govern yourself? 3rd. And frankly, do you have a disdain for mediocrity? Like, does it drive you nuts when you see someone accepting the minimum? So those are kind of these next 4 that we'll go into are really driven around, like, as you establish your foundation, what are you building on it? What are you building on that foundation? And I think these next 4 chapters speak to how you build on a strong foundation.
No, I'm excited. I like them. I like them. I mean, competitiveness. Hey, stay competitive and friendly competitive.
Become competitive.
Yes, but
that's
become it, but then stay competitive.
Yes, so many people try to stay competitive when they've never been.
Yes,
they don't really know what it. They think because they win, they've competed. No, what do you do when you're outmatched?
Yes.
What do you do when things don't go your way? That's when you establish competitive. Everything else is what you think you are.
Yes.
So anyway, we're about to start the whole episode now. So but
work on that testosterone.
As you can tell, that this is one that is super important to me coming up. So anyway,
that's been one of your. I mean, that's been from day one. That's been you. And I bet your testosterone is probably to the roof because competitiveness is what drives testosterone. If you didn't know,
I didn't know that, but
yeah. So, but yeah, that's the beauty.
Shout out to T levels. You want to jump into sports?
Yes,
but before you do, let's
Okay,
let's refresh.
Yep.
All right.
Pull up my little side notes.
Okay, sports topic. What do you got?
So, for sports, NFL, in the last 5 years. Well, a couple fun facts from the over the last 5 years, the NFL owed or has paid $800 million to fired head coaches.
Wow,
$800 million last 5 years. Also, in the last 5 years, there's been 32 or 35, I believe 35 new head coaches hired. 16 of those 35 have already expired or been fired. Some of them been the same teams. That's repeated with at least 3. Jets, a couple other ones. So, with that information, my question is the NFL or is these head coaches for these teams that's getting these top 10 or first round draft picks, picking quarterbacks and rushing them to play too soon versus some of the greats, Tom Brady that's set, Aaron Rodgers that's set, the ones that we look at like, well, that's Mahomes that's set. You know what I'm saying? Are we now
Josh Allen?
Exactly. Are we now rushing these young quarterbacks to play too soon for not only that, but if you're a top 5 draft pick, you're probably going to a sorry team that really still in the rebuilding phase. So one, are they being rushed to play too soon, killing confidence, not letting them develop, not even getting their true potential that they may been drafted on to even see? Or are they able to see within the first year in the NFL by them throwing them out there like, yeah, no, that was a waste of a pick. Move on. You know, I mean,
well, what I'm trying not to do is, all right, so.
And are they firing coaches too quick, too soon? I mean, the NFL sent out a memo saying, "Hey, past 5 years we're gonna pay $800 million to fire head coaches." Like, hey, let's slow up on the.
Oh yeah, I mean it's financially a catastrophe. It's a fantastic question. Number one, and if I'm being reasonable, a quarterback needs some time. I think what team I want to acknowledge that I think teams struggle with having a quarterback that clearly should be in front of the person you just drafted high, and how much that type of quarterback cost. And the potential tough situation you put yourself in if they continue to have success and you're not capitalizing on a quarterback on their rookie deal before you got to pay a large percentage of your cap to them. But so I just want to acknowledge that is a consideration.
But do the rookie deal, if you sit in a quarterback and he's learning, and then he's time for his next contract. If he don't learn this stuff, but ain't really played or about to get ready to play, like,
is he learning more that he would?
That he required to go get
a
major contract, which they are giving it out like freaking fried rice now. I mean,
but let me ask you this, because I feel like what has me hesitant around the question is around the acknowledgement of how confidence can be destroyed.
Yes.
I don't necessarily buy that you're learning more on the bench than you otherwise would in a game.
Okay.
The question, I think, is when you combine what you learn on the field and you also, when you add what you learn on the field and then you subtract the confidence you may lose if it's not going well, or if you're not protected, or if you don't have the weapons yet, or if you're not winning games and you're used to winning games, I think that's the equation. What are you learning? What are you getting better at through playing?
Mm-hmm.
And what are you potentially losing in confidence, in health, in trust, all these different things? And then that's how you determine whether you should or shouldn't play somebody.
Right.
But I don't want to. I don't necessarily believe that you're learning more sitting back than you are on the field. You might be netting more
Mm-hmm.
when you add here and subtract here.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll just say this: like when I first started at my current company, within 3 to 4 months, my supervisor left, and I was reporting almost as from a skip level perspective for a period of months. So I had to step in and partially do a job or contribute to filling a gap that was there for an extended period of time.
Correct.
And I've had multiple times in which I had to step up while there was a gap or a pregnancy or a special project or whatever. And yes, you're going to make mistakes, and yes, but it truly to me comes down to confidence.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not some believe I can do everything guy, but I'm not letting, if I know I don't know something and I know I got to learn, when I hit moments where I don't know something, it doesn't necessarily set back my confidence, because it's like, of course you're going to have bumps and growing pains when you're trying to do something you haven't done before.
Yes.
I think that's where the evaluation of a young quarterback that you're drafting is important, because if they've only had success or only had weapons or only had the best offensive line or only had to, then if you're bringing them into a situation where they don't have the weapons and you know it, and it's going to take time to get them, and they don't have the line and you know it, and it's going to take time to do it, then you need to be very, very smart about whether you're assuming that how they approach the situation when all the things were stacked in their favor is how they're going to approach things when nothing is in their favor. Yeah. That's where the eval to me comes in
play. And you even in the eval too, the pressure of media and the criticism that comes with it of you being a top 5 pick. And let's be honest, social media and all that. You these humans, these quarterbacks are they see it. But if they say, "Oh, I won't be on the social media and that stuff," whatever. Your family members on it, your girlfriends on it, somebody on it. You hear it, you see it. So even that, and so the question is too, though. I guess would be if coaches. Even I guess coaches is in the same way too, as in how they're doing the quarterbacks now too, is pushing them out their goal. But coaches got, when they hired, you got 1 year, 2 year tops to get it turned around, a program turned around, or they like, okay, we on to the next. Instead of maybe a 3 to 4 building year phase. I'm trying to get the people you need.
But that's on the ownership. Like,
yes.
That's not on the quarterback or the coach.
No, it's on the ownership, correct.
If a coach knows that historically this organization has said you got to win now or we're moving on, then they may not actually believe that the quarterback should be out there.
They throwing him out there because, one, they got a top draft pick with him, and the owner was like, why are you not playing him when you know you got a 1 to 2 year window to turn it around, or we're going to have to move on.
Yeah. I mean, every organization ain't like that, though.
Correct.
But
a lot of them is repeat organizations.
But hold up, because because I'm a Patriots fan, and it's easy to say we stick, but we had stability at quarterback.
Stability for over 20 years.
So there is a chicken or the egg thing. Like, is an organization really committed to a coach that then allows the coach enough room to find and keep their quarterback? Or did these teams find a quarterback, whether it be the draft or free agency, and they got lucky and that enabled them to be patient. Like a Ben Roethlisberger at Pittsburgh,
yeah.
right?
But the coach has been there and still there. Other Ben Roethlisberger's, or like the Belichick and Brady. Belichick finally retired. First year for y'all to have
Gerard
Mayo. Now, which I think how the organization's ran is great. I don't think Kraft is like, okay, Mayo, you ain't doing it this year. Next year, this year, last year, or we getting rid of you. One, I think it starts with ownership for sure and passed down, and then it's like,
well,
okay,
and he was
I know
coaching
you gotta
waiting
get your
too.
weapons. I know you got to find a group of. We got to figure out the quarterback situation, but Mayo also ain't forced to go play Drake May that y'all just drafted. What pick was Drake May?
Yeah, I mean, it was a top pick.
Top pick. He ain't throwing him out there. He going with Jacoby Brissett right now.
Mm-hmm.
But if that was a different program, say like maybe the Jets or something, he'd be playing.
Well,
Brissett
but we
would be the
played
backup.
But we played Mac Jones.
You did, but who's the backup?
I mean, I can't remember. It was one of the quarterbacks that had been there, whether
And
it be
I think
or Hoyer or somebody.
And I think that was a Belichick move to show I still can win now because I don't have Brady.
Maybe, but I mean, he still made the Pro Bowl his first year. His best year was his first year.
First year, then he.
So
then
that
he
also
figured him out.
goes to, it may not be like, but I get it. My thing as a competitor is it's not someone else's job to hold back your opportunity
Yeah.
until you're ready.
Yeah.
That could be a generous thing to do, but like I'm always a be ready.
Yeah. It is for sure.
Become
Be
ready.
ready, but you got a kid, and now I haven't played NFL or college football. I don't know the difference when it comes to scheduling, traveling, or any of that stuff to know if there's a big flip from college to NFL, and if that's a learning curve within itself.
I just think people are better. That's why I say that's
Okay.
why I say around. I don't know that you're learning more because like you can know the same. Like I can know how to do something conceptually. I can know what I'm looking for. I can know what my keys are. I can know alignment. I can know protection. But knowing it and being able to execute against it is not the same thing. And you're not going to learn how to execute against it from the bench. Now, if you're somebody that doesn't have as high IQ as necessary, then that might be why you need to sit before you're out there because you actually do need to learn some concepts and shit.
Yes.
Whereas someone may already know what needs to be done, but now they got to be out there to learn how to execute. And I think that's another thing, like in an assessment, is like, yeah, sure, you're right. Don't throw somebody out there before they even know what's going on.
Yeah.
But don't hold somebody back that knows what's going on.
It can be a better option than once he get a couple games.
But he needs reps, or he may need a year or whatever to take what he knows.
You got to know who needs what.
Exactly.
49ers got Trey Lance. He didn't need the bench. He needed reps. Well, he didn't get reps. No good. Move on from him. You had a pick where last pick of the draft, he didn't need reps. He had a lot of reps. He had 4 or 5 years of college reps, throwing a lot.
Yeah.
He could process. He can go in there and get it rolling for you, for your system. But then you had with Dak Prescott, I think he stepped for a little bit, right? I don't know how, but he wasn't a top draft pick either though. So that's a thing too. Is I don't know what draft pick Aaron Rodgers was. Tom Brady, of course, wasn't a top draft pick. But I think that plays a part too. It's more so like we need return on investment now, as in these are top draft picks. I want my return on investment now.
Yeah, and again, I do think the best analogy I can use before we move to the next topic is around. I love watching Belichick check on the Manning cast in the first half of Monday Night Football, and he pointed out, the college transition for quarterbacks that are used to the shotgun and now having to be under center. And one thing he pointed out was a lot of times fans, some coaches and front office people, like they think, okay, well, they need to learn how to take a snap from center and not fumble it, right? They haven't done that.
Yeah.
His point was that's not the most important thing. That's not the most important limitation. What's the hard thing is the great under center quarterbacks, particularly under play action, know how to take the snapshot of what they're seeing before they turn their back to the defense. Have a fake that sells, and to get their head back around, pick up where they left off in that snapshot, and be able to anticipate where people are after that. Yeah. People obsess about the snap, but it's really how do you learn how? Because in shotgun, everything's in front of you the whole time. Yeah. How do you learn how to take a picture, turn your back, pick up where that picture left off, and know where you need to be based on the rhythm of the play? That's one of those things. It's like that's the difference between someone needing to get some mechanical things right and someone who needs to learn a whole bunch of stuff before they're even going to have a chance to be effective. And that's the difference between an evaluation. Oh, it was a shotgun. We just got to teach him how to take a snap under center. Okay, if that's what you think all that is, then there's probably a reason why your quarterbacks aren't successful. That's a ridiculous thing. Like, I can go outside and, like, no, I can figure out how to take a snap in a day. If you think the difference between a shotgun-only quarterback and one that could go under center or be in the shotgun is taking the snap, then you're probably not evaluating at a sufficient depth.
Correct. No.
Does that make?
Yes. 100%.
So,
in which Belichick, Gene said it. And I like Nick Saban, which will probably be our next topic, is just this whole NIL stuff that's going on. If there need to be some structure to it or whatever for kids to be able to just say, oh, nope, I'm bouncing here. You can't even do it in NFL, I feel like. Why
but they're employees.
Huh?
All of this could be more simple, and this can be something for the next time. But all of this would be simplified and easy, whether that be the taxes that players aren't paying because they don't even know they have to drain an alumni with like getting cash from alumni and just giving it to kids versus establishing something that can pay itself.
Yeah,
like there's only a certain amount of people that can just come off of pure cash every year without return on investment. Like, they need to be employees.
Yes.
Like, they can come up with all these creative, complicated situations, set up this complicated situation so people are falling into traps like not paying taxes or moving, or like what's happening at UNLV, folks telling them they're going to pay them something and then they don't. And then finally you got kids that are saying, okay, well, you told me you were going to do this, and that's why I came here, and you're not doing it, and you think I'm still going to go out there and play for you? No, I'm good.
Yeah. There ain't no contract.
You either pay, you either say you either do what you say you're going to do, or I'll just sit out.
Sit out and play my next year eligibility.
And there are people that are doing that too around. Yes. So
next topic for sure. We for sure, because it's a lot and messy for sure, but.
All right, so there's a lot to cover in current events. You can,
yeah, I'm gonna kick it off. I'm gonna kick it off. Look, she said on the debate, me and Tim Walz is both gun owners. I'm not taking nobody's guns. That's a big topic when it comes to owning guns and people who own guns. You know what I'm saying? That's a big part of it. Me personally, I'm a gun owner. I'm a concealed carrier. Now, personally, do I got AR-15s and stuff? No. I got handguns. But one, is she talking about they gun owners as in they plan on just like limiting people and all the assets they can get the AR-15s? Or are they trying to be more strict with who have access to these semi-automatics rifles, assault rifles, and stuff like
Yep.
that.
Yep.
Is that more so is what she's saying? If so, do she need to clarify that more? Because people thinking about like, okay, well, you saying you're not taking guns, but then all your other
Okay. Restricting a gun doesn't mean you're taking the ones that already are possessed away.
correct. And
That's a very important thing.
That's all I'm about to say too. Is she more
Right.
so talking about restricting for ones who become or want to go get?
But she didn't talk about restricting anything.
Yeah,
Let's not. She didn't talk about restricting anything.
okay.
That was her point. The other side wants you to believe that every Democrat wants to take their guns away.
Correct.
Not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
I didn't think it would.
Even back in what was it, 96 assault weapons ban, they didn't take weapons that already exist away. They prevented certain weapons from being sold moving forward.
Sold or made.
This has already happened in my lifetime, your lifetime,
Right.
for over
It's
10 years. For 10 years.
There's a couple of guns I seen that actually. It's certain guns that they
they in the legislation there were certain descriptions of guns that were prohibited. Of which the AR-15 under the 96 or the assault weapons ban would not be allowed to be sold.
Gotcha.
And I don't have a problem with AR-15s. I know people down in Collins, Arkansas, down where I'm from, who hog hunt, and they use AR-15s. I mean, they're not spraying hogs, but when they shoot them, I mean, you ain't just it's if anybody's seeing hog hunting or seeing pit bulls that come back after they've hog hunted, how they're tore to pieces and all of this stuff. If anybody's ever trapped a hog, if you got corn, if you're a farmer, you know, like they are crop killers.
Yeah.
Do I think that you need to continue to sell a weapon that has been so destructive as an AR-15 in mass shootings? That the fact that people use them for a particular purpose justify that they be widely available? No, I don't think that. But I'm also not out here saying that I think they need to be taken away. So as it relates to gun, I think her point was we are not trying to take your guns away.
Okay.
Our administration, the Biden-Harris administration, in conjunction with Republicans as well, had one of the first and best sensible gun legislation laws passed during this term, and you still have your guns.
And it still can go bomb.
And one thing that I think is important on this issue is most of the things that Democrats want to do, whether that be universal background checks, whether that be higher restrictions on straw selling at certain gun shows and stuff, red flag laws and a better structure for how you protect the public and protect gun rights when it relates to domestic or violent accusations. How long do we take the gun? When do they give it back? These are legitimate issues, right? It shouldn't be that just because someone says something about me that now my Second Amendment rights are gone. But most people understand, though, if you're beating your wife or your kids, if that allegation is lodged against you, what we need to come up with, what is the reasonable time for an investigation to be had before you get your gun back? We should have that discussion. I don't know the answer to that, but that's a legitimate discussion.
Legit.
We don't want people in the heat of anger killing people.
Right. Because
people are dead. They're regretting it because if they would have had a few minutes or a few hours or a few days, they would have like, okay, this ain't even close to being. So what is that cool off period?
Yeah.
Those are what at least most Democrats that I know. That's what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Not pulling a Donald Trump as it relates to immigrants or people that we perceive are immigrants and saying we're going to round them all up and deport them and do all this stuff. No one is saying.
Is that even?
No one is saying that. No one on the Democratic side that has any power is saying let's do that type of thing for your guns.
Got you. True.
He's the ones trying to weaponize local and federal law enforcement to go do something that they can't do.
That's all I would say is that can you even do that? More so,
can you detain people? You might could stretch the boundaries and detain people, but no, you gotta have before you throw people out that may or may not be here legally.
Mm-hmm.
It's an impractical thing. Are you gonna knock on doors and just
and like, hey, you got any illegals in there?
Right, like if you had the address of every illegal immigrant that you could just go to wherever they are and just put them in a car and take them and deport them, then they would be deported. Obviously, we don't have all of their information and whereabouts, or it would be a very easy thing.
So the thing, let's transition to the illegals. So the thing with the illegals would be you can't round them up and ship them out. The more so is you need to get an understanding and controlling of the borders and keep it from being.
What I'm saying is there is a process. Mm-hmm. No matter who you are, there is due process in this country.
Yep.
Doesn't mean that a potential illegal immigrant has the same amount of rights as a citizen, but due process is afforded in this country. You can't just go and say, I think you're something, therefore you're gone.
Yeah.
Without a process that allows whoever's being accused to say, well, yeah, I am. Or
I'm not.
I'm not. What the fuck? No, you don't get to kick me out of the country and then I prove that I'm like, no.
Yeah.
So, and that gets me to what happened in Ohio and the talking about Haitians and eating dogs and cats and pets.
Well, what's the vice president
candidate,
correct. They come out and say that he will feed lies and will continue to feed lies. And
if we have to make things up to get people to pay attention to this takeover, then that's what we'll do.
Right. And it's documented. It's on a video. It's out there if you want to go look it up. But he basically admitted that he fed a lie to it.
To bring attention to an issue about illegal immigration by making up a lie about people who we know are here legally. You can't be an advocate. Hold on. You can't be an advocate for legal immigration if you're attacking the people who are coming here legally. If you are an illegal person if you're a person, nobody is an illegal. If you're a person who is illegally crossing into this country and are watching what they're saying, doing, and how they're treating people who are here legally, what incentive is there for you to follow the process? Right. If I follow the process, have my green card, have my job, pay my Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid taxes, pay my rent, I'm here legally, and you're telling me, and you got racist elected officials in the Republican Party talking about how you better be out of here by January 20th, out of this country, and all of this stuff. They're here legally. You can't say that you are against illegal immigration because it's unfair to people who are coming here legally and then treat folks in Ohio, Haitians, who are here legally with a green card, contributing to society, and attack them.
And that's the thing too. Is like the next part to the illegals is okay. Well, the illegals is the ones that's committing all these crimes, kidnappings, whatever, such and such. Right? That's what they're saying. That's what they saying.
And are there instances in which that's happened? Absolutely.
Absolutely. But are there not instances where there's American citizens that's doing the same thing?
Oh yeah, and immigrants commit crimes across the board at lower rates than citizens do.
American citizens. So the most recent, or not most recent, the last 10 mass shootings or school shootings or whatever you want to call it, was those American citizens or was those illegals?
They were Americans.
Okay. And so the registered sex offender that you can look to see who's living where, they can't be by schools and nothing, that's the majority of American citizens or illegals?
Probably American. Almost certainly.
Okay. So I was just curious on that because they saying that, and my thing is, one, as a parent, because I am a parent, I got a daughter, I got a son, and they saying, well, little girl, whatever story they use, maybe Texas, Dallas, somewhere, a little girl walking and got whatever, not the full details, but my thing is, one, as a parent, my kid, I don't care if she's 10, 11, 12, one, you're not walking nowhere without me knowing it or me taking you. Mm-hmm. That's number one.
Yep.
And that's just me as being a parent. You know what I'm saying? And I get it. Back in the day when we was kids, we probably could run around on our bicycles around and until the street light came on and stuff. But it's not the same. And it ain't because it's illegals. It's just because America has changed. And it's more so, I feel like it's American citizens as well, instead of just, all these things that we used to do when we was kids, where we used to go ride our bike and play to the sundown and ride across town and stuff. Now we can't do that. I don't feel comfortable or having our kids do that. I don't think that's more of an illegal thing. I think that's just more as in American as in the whole thing.
Oh, I 100% agree. And what offends me is if it sounds like Americans should be able to kill, rape, and kidnap each other, but you can't. That's what it sounds like to me. Like, I don't really, they get all up in arms over these anecdotal, though serious situations, and bring more energy to anecdotal yet serious situations than the situations that are happening outside their door. And it feels like you're saying, well, crime is just a part of life if you're an American. But if you're an illegal, then how dare you commit crime? And it's like, no, how dare anybody commit crime? Yes. Like, what are we talking about? It's not worse because it was done by a family. I mean, you might, if you're a family affected by this, you might be like, well, if they weren't here, this wouldn't have happened, which is true. But we know it's not like there's a bouncer at the border that's just saying, oh, you can go and get in. No one's like, anyway. But I'm most offended by, number one, you're willing to make up lies about people to make a point that you can make without talking about them. And what it sounds like is,
you don't care about them people.
Well, it sounds like you're trying to pit others against, you're trying to feed into this whole great replacement theory of all of these people of color, whether they're immigrants or whether it's interracial relationships, whether it's all this, like, that's why the culture of America is changing. Okay. So what I don't like is, again, these Haitians in Ohio are truly, like, has anyone seen Haiti right now? I mean, Kenya is sending police to Haiti to help stabilize the situation. So they're not here out of some fake refugee status or whatever. They're here on green cards. They're contributing to society.
And they working.
Just like your Irish ancestors, just like your Polish ancestors, just like your Italian ancestors, just like your, like, all of your Russian ancestors, your Jewish ancestors who came over to America to find jobs and opportunity. Whether that's the potato famine, whether that's the Holocaust, whether that's Mussolini, whether that's communism, they came over, they got jobs as immigrants, they contributed to society. They had to endure some of the same stuff that you're trying to inflict on that Haitian population was inflicted on you as in the New Yorks, in the other places where immigrants were being received. Your ancestors had to face the same poisoning the blood of America type of thinking. And it would serve you well to know your history enough to say, I'm not going to act like people who come here for opportunity legally and who are contributing and assimilating. That's wrong when the only reason why you're in the positions you're in is because your ancestors did the same thing and contributed and gritted their teeth through the same stupid shit that you're inflicting on them. Yep. And lastly, J.D. Vance has an Indian wife who's a first, and that's fine. I love the Indian people, and just like Kamala Harris is Indian.
Yes.
Clearly, she's here because whether that's first generation, second generation, whatever, because her family saw opportunity.
That's how she's here.
Donald Trump, your family came over to New York not 2 generations ago. Your first wife came over as an immigrant to America. Your second and current wife is an immigrant who came over to America. What hypocritical ass situation are we sitting in where the people who have either married immigrants that are similarly situated or only 1 or 2 generations removed from their family coming over for doing the same thing these Haitians are doing are sitting around convincing so many people that but for these Haitians and Central and Latin Americans, your life wouldn't be what it is. It's ridiculous.
And
it's ridiculous.
That's their front fort of their campaign / debate. It's all circled around those 2 things: guns, illegals, and then taxes, of course, or not as your paychecks was more when I was in office versus now.
Mine wasn't.
Or inflation. Mine wasn't either, but
mine was, baby. We
making more now.
Yeah, we doing good around here.
Yeah, so I mean, right,
stuff costs more, but I'm also paid more.
Yes, I'm paid more to afford the stuff that costs more,
but that ain't everybody. So I'm not trying to.
Right, and so I got a driver, love him to death. We always have these debates in the office here and there, just because we both just stick to our course or whatever. But he said that, if these businesses or if these taxes on these businesses is not as much, then they'll take that and then they'll put that back into their job to where we get more pay or more equipment.
Interesting.
Or more.
They could.
Do they?
And
I'll say that's a possibility, but do we know that? Do we know as in XPO or any other company out there, if Trump came and became president, didn't put that high tax cut on and gave them a lower tax cut to where they'll take that extra assets that they got to pay in taxes and then put that back into their people?
The history has said it goes to stock buybacks, executive compensation, sometimes even to the customer before it comes back to the workforce. History says that if you're getting a certain amount of production, you don't gift additional pay without the expectation of a growth in production. I also am surprised to hear this, given that you're working in logistics and the tariff, which when we first talked about this tariff that Trump wants to impose across the board, it was at 10%. Now he's up to 20%. And yeah, they may okay, they may even if taxes are cut, if tariffs are imposed, it's not going to net out as a net good for companies. I can assure you that if you talk to the CFOs and the finance and FP&As and all of this of companies, and you said, hey, would you rather an increase of 3 to 4% or 5%, whatever the increase would be under that Harris said she would increase the top tax bracket for companies? Would you take that, or would you take a 10 to 20% tariff on all imports? Which one would you rather do? Would you rather pay more corporate taxes, or would you rather be subject to a 10 to 20% tariff on anything you bring into the company?
Corporate taxes?
Absolutely.
The tariff on that is higher, significantly higher, to bring stuff into where and it's going to hurt logistics as well, because we don't have as much to use for intermodal or a truck to transfer across the country stuff. And then now they cutting production across to where they maybe try to find a production in the United States to set up factories or something, or they may just like, let's pause on production and limit our quality because we're paying more on tariff to bring it across.
And with a corporate tax, you still, as a company, have leverage you can pull to lower the base that you will be taxed on. So it does increase income for the federal government, but it allows you to retain the flexibility to navigate that increase in a way that allows you to continue to grow. Now, these aren't the easiest things to discuss in just a conversation, but it doesn't change that it's true.
Right.
And yeah. Yeah.
So from the debate.
Also, y'all see my shirt.
I was about to point out. It's showing what's up. My shirt plain in the front, but I got my favorite. I got my favorite on the back, which is the Met. The Met. You know, I love New York. It's like the Met.
I'm with her. Full stop.
He said he would have rolling non-stop. And
Let's go, Kamala.
So, you know,
she had the 90s bob in here.
Nice bob. As long as she wasn't in no Diddy party, we good. So, and that's the thing. So, all day I know you with her, and I try to. That's just me in general. Even with Chelsea, can be in a conflict with somebody, and I try to see the good in something. You know,
don't hang Chelsea out to dry.
You know what I'm saying?
Hey, Chelsea.
You know, she even telling me all the stuff, and I try to see the good to, you know, reconcile it or see both views or whatever. That's just the natural in my mind. But from the debate, you know, people run with conspiracies and all that all day. But what else would you say you either took from it or got reassurance on that you might have wanted or needed from the debate? That apparently there's no more debates probably happening. That's probably the only
it's
one.
just the vice presidential probably. Okay, from Trump's perspective, it reinforced, probably in a way that I've never seen before, how impulsive he can be and how quickly angered he can be and how he is very transparent.
You can rattle him real quick.
Right. And it's a situation where, like, he's led by his grievance, his insecurity. Like, he's good if you're not poking at that.
Yep.
But if you really want to, you can control his behavior.
Yep.
Which also shows that the inverse can be true, which I think is why he feels like he has such great relationships with people that he's only met a couple of times. It's because when they were around each other in private, there's nothing. Why wouldn't they stroke his ego?
Yeah.
Nobody's going to know what they said. So, Yeah, I'll stroke your ego. I'll tell you how great you are because I know you are so self-congratulatory that you'll perceive my lapping you with praise as agreement, and therefore I can win you over to my side. That's what I learned more than anything from him, is that the impulsiveness that I could see it was there is more prevalent than I ever could see. Like to be able to see him get upset when she mentioned his crowd sizes and like visibly see him lose it from that point forward.
Yeah. Like why
anybody that I want, like,
why you worry about crowd size so much? Like who cares? Like
that was actually scary. Of like, wow, this is like insane. For Harris, it was poise, it was preparation, it was being able to have a strategy and stick to it. It was continuing to play your game. There's a lot of pressure for her to be specific about a whole bunch of things. And understanding the past, right? Past is prologue. Like, Hillary had a plan for everything. I mean, one of her taglines was, "I have a plan for that."
Yeah.
People didn't care.
Yeah.
True. The same vibes they're saying Kamala Harris is running on. That's what Trump has been doing for 12 years. Yeah. He hasn't give you anything specific on anything.
True.
He hasn't.
You don't have a plan.
He's welcome to take something someone else produced and say, yeah, I'm okay with that. He's not out here articulating nuanced views on anything.
Right.
His solution that he puts forward that a lot of people eat up is day one inflation goes away. Day one the Ukraine-Russian conflict will be over.
That's what
day one, and it's like nothing works that way. So why are you thinking he's telling you what he's going to do just because he says he's going to make bad things disappear immediately and good things grow exponentially?
That's what I was going to say on that is, how are you going to just day one make Ukraine and Russian conflict just go away? He assumed that he has a great relationship with Putin where he can tell Putin to stop. Like, all of a sudden, you and Putin best friends, like you big brother.
Yeah, and if you could do that, why didn't you tell him to do that when you became president in 2016, or excuse me, in January of 2017, when he had already been in Ukraine for 2.5, 3 years by then? Where were you at? If you could just make this stuff go away, why didn't you make it go away when you were in office?
Yeah.
And I want to get on the Hezbollah thing and Lebanon as the finisher, but the other thing is, like, so many people are saying this, well, you're vice president right now, why don't you just go do what you say you're going to do?
That's what I was about to get to last.
You were the president for 4 years and you didn't fix these things that you said were problems then and are saying there's still problems now. Why didn't you fix stuff as president if you're going to ask a vice president that has no power why she's not fixing things today?
Well, saying she had power, though. They saying she had power, as in Biden directly gave her control over what's happening at the border. What's being said now. Because I had these debates.
I get it. But we don't need to re-say it as if that's how the world works. In fact, this is why I bring it up.
Okay.
I bring it up because for all of you undecideds out there, when someone feels that just because they have the presidency or the vice presidency, they can just do whatever they want, they're demonstrating a dictatorial mentality that because I have a position, people should do whatever I tell them to do. That if I say something should happen, then the power of the United States should make it happen. That is very monarchy, dictator-like beliefs, that because she's the vice president and if she wants to do something, then it would be done if she wanted it to be done. As if we don't have a system of checks and balances. As if the president and vice president can write checks. Yes, they have extraordinary power, or the president does, and the executive does. But as we mentioned in our last discussion, the vice president's only power resides in the legislative branch of the United States government. Within the executive branch, the vice president has zero direct power. None. By design. There's only one president. There's only one leader of the executive branch. And the only time the vice president can exercise any of their legislative power is when there's a tie. They can't even vote even when there isn't a tie. They have to break a tie only.
Yes.
And so don't buy into this stupidity. Well, you're the vice president right now. Why aren't you doing everything you said?
Or you've been a vice president for 3 years and you ain't did nothing.
As if she's the only vice president to ever run for president while their administration still has power. Al Gore was the sitting vice president, and every it's I don't understand how people are persuaded by this.
That's why it's new, because I believe Biden was vice president for Obama, right?
Yes,
and then he became president. But while he was running his term, I didn't hear that at all.
Yeah,
Biden, what did you do under Obama? Or under the Obama administration, you didn't do this, or y'all did this and this and that. I didn't hear that, which is so funny.
He did talk about what he did as vice president, but you know what he always said?
What's that?
President Obama allowed me to fill in the blank. When I was meeting in foreign countries, they knew I was speaking with his voice. Why is he saying that? Because at the end of the day, anything he did as vice president was only because the president allowed him to do it.
Got you. Makes sense.
Last one is around Israel.
Let me hear all that.
Going into Lebanon, and as of the recording of this episode, Iran, Lebanon, Hezbollah, and Israeli sources confirmed that Israel killed the leader of Hezbollah yesterday or late last night, Hassan Nasrallah, who is the leader of Hezbollah. And some other high-ranking officials, as well as some.
For the people who don't know, what is Hezbollah?
Hezbollah is, and again, before I go into Hezbollah, I am not an expert.
But got great knowledge.
I'm not an expert, and I have friends, classmates. I have a mentor of Lebanese descent. I have no desire to disparage the Lebanese people. I have no desire to speak with any authority over their history or over what they're going through at this moment in time.
Okay.
I don't want to see any harm inflicted on them, and any harm that is inflicted on the Lebanese people, I try to look at it through the lens of an understanding that collateral damage or civilian casualties are tragic but predictable in these types of environments. Okay. So I just want to say that on the front end.
Yep.
As it relates to Hezbollah, they are as we label them and most do, they are one of the proxy organizations that I mentioned back when we were talking about Hamas initially. And they are the principal proxy organization of Iran. Okay. They are in Lebanon, which is to the north of Israel. And since Israel, following October 7th, has been in Gaza, Hezbollah had pledged that so long as they're in Gaza, they are going to fire rockets into the north of Israel, which has caused those Israelis that live there to have to go further south. Mm-hmm. We can debate the intentions of Netanyahu and his government, but their expressed intention is that they are going, that the rocket attacks and missile attacks in the north must stop so the Israelis that live there can return to their homes and be safe. That's the
mission.
That's what he says the mission is, and based on that, it's a reasonable aim. Like,
correct.
Okay, Hezbollah has killed Americans in Beirut, Marines. They have from my research, the only terrorist organization to kill more Americans is Al Qaeda. The only terrorist organization to kill more Americans than Hezbollah is Al Qaeda. Put differently, other than Al Qaeda, Hezbollah has killed more Americans than any other terrorist organization. So I will not be sitting here lamenting the extermination of leaders of an organization that kills Americans.
Correct.
Won't happen.
Correct.
What I think we have to be mindful of is this is rapidly becoming more and more complicated than I have the ability to comprehend and then most Americans don't have the ability to comprehend.
Ask is what's
and it's
next?
Okay for us to say, like, I don't have all the answers here.
Correct, 100%.
Now, specifically around the attacks, and this is my challenge to Americans. It was something I've challenged myself on. I, with all of my heart, believe how the fight is being taken to Hamas in Gaza is way more than it has to be, and the amount of civilian casualties cannot be in line with trying to limit the amount of civilian casualties as much as possible. And in America, that's our standard to a large degree. Do we kill civilians at times? Yes. But you talk to anybody, I have old classmates who flew drones. I have old classmates in Tier 1 Special Forces, and based on what they actually can share, they can be frustrated at times with the level of attorneys and bureaucracy involved for them to be able to go do what they know they need to do. So that anyone who thinks that America just goes out willy-nilly killing and shooting and missile dropping and bomb dropping, that's not how it works.
Correct.
There's a lot of people who are on the front at the tip of the spear of this who wish there was a little bit less bureaucracy. So do not use this time to look at other countries and how they think about collateral damage and compare it to us and reassess how critical you are of America when it relates to what we're willing to do and not do. But I bring up Gaza to say, if you're in agreement with me that too many civilians are dying in Gaza,
correct,
then when you look at pagers exploding to kill or maim Hezbollah fighters, who are the only ones that should have had those pagers. Of course, there might have been a kid who was playing with a pager, or there might have been sitting on a whatever. I'm not saying that no civilians were hurt. They clearly were.
Yes.
But you cannot more precisely target
a certain
group of people.
Not with that. That was brilliant, actually. But
to inflict that damage and take them off the battlefield than you did. So you can't say, on the one hand, you're not showing enough discretion in Gaza, which I don't think they are. But But then when they show as high, like the amount of damage that would need to be done by traditional means to kill or take off the battlefield, maim, injure, whatever, 3,000 members of Hezbollah, you would have had to flatten many, many cities and kill many, 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 many civilians. So that is how you assess whether you should or shouldn't do something.
Okay.
It, to me, is based on the outcome that we're seeking.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't do this, what is the alternative and what is the damage that would cause for us to get the same damage to those fighters? If you say for us to actually not use this and inflict the same damage on 3,000 members, I would have to potentially kill as many, if not many more civilians. Then you would look at 3,000 being hit and 25 to 40 civilians being injured, or 100 or 200, whatever that number is, and say, okay, if to get 3,000 I hurt 200 or 300, or I could go after the same 3,000 and hurt 10,000, which one are you choosing?
Yeah.
It can't be that our standard is, in order to defend yourself, you can't hurt anybody.
Correct.
That's not how this works.
It don't work. We been in the Middle Eastern, and you telling me U.S. military didn't hurt Afghanistan citizens or whoever? We did. However you want to say it. I when I took a class, I met a military guy who's in the police now, but he was there. He said, if there's you and there's an Afghanistan person, they got a gun, you got a gun, but there's a citizen there, and the only way you can probably get them or before they get you is to have to shoot, and that citizen get hurt, then that citizen just get hurt.
And we have long, soldiers have long thought the rules of engagement were too strict.
Yeah.
That there were situations and times in prior wars where you had to be fired upon before you could fire.
Yeah.
So again, I stress, if what is happening in Lebanon, for instance, I think what's happening in Gaza is just way too much. Particularly given that we're coming up on a year in 2 weeks. I ain't gonna debate anybody on that. I don't think that civilian life is being the impact of civilian life is being limited. But I just feel like, because I have that view, that I don't like what Israel is doing as it relates to Gaza at this point. I can't then be mad when they use a precise method of striking the enemy and say, well, that's not good enough either.
Very precise.
Like, what am I supposed to do? Like,
so
the pagers one day, they ditch them all or have already been hurt or whatever, and then they move to their secondary choice, the walkie-talkies. Those blow up. And then now what they're doing is and they got to be careful to not do the same thing I don't like. And if, they don't care that I don't like it, but I'm not going to act like,
to not do the same.
I'm not going to act like it's not a big deal either.
Right.
But I don't want Lebanon and Beirut to be turned into Gaza either. But if they're meeting in residential neighborhoods underground,
what can you do? I feel like, Lebanon or Gaza, when they went and tried to go hide out in these civilian homes and stuff, knowing that they was a target, like, you're not caring about them people. You're not caring about your own people to go do that. You being selfish and sacrificing your own people. As in, like, if you get me, well, you got to get all these civilians around me too.
Which
you're not gonna get me.
Which we don't do. We're not gonna put the president in a situation where he's making the target the rest of our country.
No.
We don't do that.
So I mean, like,
We don't. I mean, and like, I just think, and it's hard when emotional when your people are involved. Like, you're not looking for every reason why the people who are killing you aren't doing the wrong thing, and I get
Right.
that. I don't expect people on the other side of this to listen to me and be like, "No, you know, I think he's right. I'll change my mind." Because if someone is harming my family, I don't care about all the justifications that they may have.
You're hurting my family flat out.
But on the flip side, if my people can't live in their homes, there's a point in which I'm like, okay, we can't.
Well,
We got to restore a little bit of deterrence here.
Well, that's the thing people don't understand. When it comes to war, it's either your family getting hurt or if you from that area or whatever. But it's somebody's family is getting hurt. It's either whoever family doing something first or whoever doing something next. But at the end of the day, somebody's family getting hurt. Somebody's not gonna like it. So if Israel was getting defeated by the groups or Gaza or whatever, then the Israelis would be getting hurt. You know, so at the end of the day, somebody's family is the one that's getting hurt, whether we like it or not. But that's what comes with war.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
and my last thing.
Look. Let me make it even more clear.
Okay.
As someone who has had my family almost lose their life with IEDs in Afghanistan, or who has just severe PTSD from things that they had to face. You got to remember these things.
Yes.
It's easy for me to say at 34, I'm not draft age anymore. But I think, as we talked about it before, you got boys. If Tate, Elliot, Riley, Kate, if they decide to join the military or if they decide to serve their country or whatever, I want them to be protected. And if something happens to any of them or their fellow servicemen, whether it takes days, years, decades, they need to understand that if you ever do anything to any of us, there is no matter of time, space, or opportunity that will pass in which we won't seek retribution.
Yes. We will get back.
So, you know, we can live in this naive fantasy world all we want to, but until you know what it's like to have your life at risk on a daily basis, whether that's on whether you're Lebanese, whether you're Palestinian, whether you're Israeli or whatever, Yemeni, whatever, we can't really speak to what that type of pressure is. And frankly, when stuff happens to America, we do not act proportionately. Like 4,000 people died on 9/11 or related to 9/11.
Yep.
We were willing to spend trillions of dollars and risk lives and spend decades
To get back.
to do what we thought was necessary in response to that. Whether that was right or wrong is not what I'm trying to debate here, but it's to say, let's not act like so that's where I challenge our fellow citizens of like, don't pretend.
Correct.
Don't pretend.
No.
That doesn't mean we should become barbarians,
Right.
and start just carpet bombing people and acting like what we don't like in Israel or what we don't like what Russians doing, bombing churches and civilians and all the infrastructure and all that. There are rules to war. We do have things we won't do.
Right.
Because we're the United States of America. but don't act like you don't have to let motherfuckers know. You don't have to let people know sometimes.
Yeah.
People take advantage of your unwillingness to do what it takes.
Yes.
And when you wait to address things, it only makes when you address them that much more damaging.
And that's the thing is, just because we in the United States may not do this or do that, which we don't, people don't know. You don't know, one, as citizens of as America or whatever, we don't know the rules in depth of what is and what's not. You don't know what is off the map or not on the, or whatever the case may be. Even when we was in Afghanistan and the Middle Eastern versus now what's going on with Russia and Ukraine and those people too, where yes, we looking at like, oh, they shouldn't have done it or whatever. Or people's biggest thing is, oh, we spending billions of dollars, which we already talked about, supporting these wars that ain't got nothing to do with America. But at the end of the day, it's gonna get more and more bigger if we can't get at peace.
Which is the lesson of World War I and World War II. Like you can wish that things weren't the way they were for so long, but eventually your wishes aren't going to be enough and you're going to be pulled into it.
Yes. And eventually that's where it seemed like that's where I don't know where's next or where we going, and we don't know. But ain't nothing dying down.
No. And as it relates to Iran, like this is one of the reasons why I believe we're as close to Israel. Yes, it goes to Christians and Jews and Jesus being an ethnic Jew and atoning for our lack of action in World War II to prevent the total annihilation of a large percentage of Jewish people. And we can have a discussion about a two-state solution where like we can discuss all those things. I'm not dismissing those. Those are legitimate conversations of which I don't have answers. But Iran is causing a lot of problems around the world.
Correct.
They the
ones supporting a lot of these groups. They may not be ones actually doing it, but they're supporting and funding these groups, which is causing, oh yeah, y'all go to Gaza, hide out and do this. We'll sit back. We're funding y'all money, but y'all stay over there though. Don't come hide over here in Iran. You stay over there.
Yep. And we'll make and we're gonna make drones for Russia because they don't have enough production, and we're gonna provide financing to Hezbollah. Hezbollah doesn't even have a leader of their country at this, or excuse me, Lebanon doesn't have a leader of their country right now. Everybody in Lebanon doesn't like Hezbollah. Hezbollah isn't a stand-in for the Lebanese people, and anybody who's Lebanese, if you sit down and talk to them and ask what they think about it, it's a very nuanced situation. And for instance, I mean, there are people in Syria who are happy that Hezbollah is gone. I'm sure there are people that are Kurdish who we supported, who are ethnic Christian or who are Christians in an ethnic a Christian minority in the middle of the Middle East, right? Like, and I don't want to go into things that I may not again have all the details on, but this isn't just advancing or restoring Israeli positions. Like, other people can benefit from the hard choices of others.
Yes.
And I just think we need to take a deep breath and just have the discussion. Don't be led by pieces of information here. And that includes myself.
Yes.
But I try to look at a total picture, and ultimately anything that prevents Iran from getting a nuclear weapon is good. I don't have any problem with Persian people. I don't have any problem with Iranian people. They seem like cool people every time. Like, I have no problem. I have no problem with the Lebanese people. I have no problem with Palestinian people. I have no problem with the Israeli. You don't have to have problems with people to see why people may do certain things.
Correct.
That's what I'm ultimately trying to end on is I'm not trying to say the Israelis are right and these people are wrong, or Hezbollah is just protecting their people and Israel is. I don't. This stuff is so much deeper than I can pretend to know.
Way deeper.
But what I do know is, in its simplest form, whether we like how they're doing it or not, there was a ceasefire on October 6th, October 7th. There was an attack, rape, killing, kidnapping, murdering. Israel responded. They went after the people who perpetrated those attacks. They have killed civilians, and I don't think they've shown enough restraint and discrimination in how they went after the people that did perpetrate that attack. Also, the people that perpetrated that attack are hiding amongst innocent people.
Innocent people in their cities.
And I can't neglect to say that part of the reason why so many civilians are dying is also because people are too cowardly to get out of civilian populations and fight a country head up. Now, they would say we are not strong enough to do that.
Then
why would you don't attack?
Why would you start the attack?
Okay. Hezbollah, I can't say that they're trying to apply pressure because of what they're observing in Gaza and trying to assert that pressure on a negotiation so that there can be a resolution. I can't say that that is illogical. But if Israel gets to a point where they say, all right, well, that's enough, then they have a right to respond. What I'm saying ultimately, and we do need to end here because the Hog's about to play.
Sure is.
If you're willing to make a choice, the person you make that choice against has the right to make a choice as well.
To go against you. And for you people, if you're people making that choice, I get you mad at Israelis for doing or defending themselves or retaliating, but start that energy towards the people who started it.
And hiding amongst you.
And hiding amongst you. Whether if you support them or not, they are the ones that started it and then hiding. I get it. Innocent lives is getting lost. But all this could have been prevented due to that group that you may not support or you may support. They started it. So, I mean, I get it, but
it's like a bully. Like if a bully does something, pushes you down, gives you a swirly, whatever. Nobody ever did that. I don't know why people act like that's what. Nobody was strong enough to lift the. Anyway. You can't be the bully who threw the first punch, didn't expect somebody to come back at you 2, 3, 5 times harder, and now you like, why are you on me? Exactly. Well, you punched me in the face.
Exactly. And as soon as Israel let up, who's to say that they don't come and try to do another sneak attack? Oh, they let up. We got them to stop. Let's go and push forward. No, they on your heads until they get you. So if y'all want to do anything, give them people up. Get them people up. Tell them to move around, y'all. I guarantee you give them up, they're going to take your head.
Exactly, and that's the catch-22, unfortunately, for the civilians. So, but that's life. The life is about catch-22s, and no decision is easy, and you got to do the best you can with what you have. And I hate it for Israel because I don't necessarily trust or like their leader right now, and a large percentage of them don't either. So it's just not a good situation for anybody. But it's the situation they have, and they got to deal with it.
Yes.
So, I hope you enjoyed this conversation.
Hey, good talk.
And we got to go watch. We got to watch the Razorbacks. So there's more to come, and we'll see you soon.
Yes, sir. Appreciate y'all. Hogs, baby.